Hello and welcome, dear Mira, Marilyn. It was so honored to have you here. I was telling Mira about how I encountered you years ago when my guides told me to have a session with you, and it felt so familiar. The frequency of Edoranda and you, of course, its combination. It felt like I was home. It felt very, very nurturing and like a warm blanket around. So I want to say thank you again for that. And
It was my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you.
thank you. And I want to say that to all of our listeners, whoever didn't get to experience you in any sort of way, I feel like it's a must for a spiritual person that is, I like to experience a variety of different things, even though I get my own input. I feel like it's important to have the gamut, the facets of the diamond. Different facets bring us different awareness, and I think it's really important. So I highly and warmly recommend to do anything with you. And I know you do a lot of things. You teach channeling. You have the monthly um, um,
The double digit.
numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't I let you? You usually save it for the end, but we could start with it. Maybe you could share a little bit about yourself and how you came to do this amazing work, if you'd like, and tell us more about it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you. And I have my name is Marilyn Harper and my website is adironda.com. And yes, you're right, I do a lot of things. I started down this path in the 90s, actually, and it kind of the path I volunteered for it, but it kind of chose me in the process. I was a regular person and working at a country western radio station in Missouri, and I experienced a transformational awakening that some would call a walk-in, but it was really a transformation. And then a couple of years after that, when I realized what had happened, I set myself on a spiritual path, and um, that's when I must have raised my hand and volunteered to be a channel, a conduit, a link, a divine messenger for Adironda and the Council of Light. And they came in 1999. And Adironda is a multidimensional being. As you say, you've had a session with us. Um, and in that session, in that time, Adironda in the beginning was you know, something that was totally and completely unfamiliar to me. And it was a little bit bizarre. I had no idea what was going on. I know that Adironda came in and I could feel, sense, hear the difference, see the difference for anybody that was watching. And they came in 1999 and said that I'm an activator and that they are going to gather groups together and I would be activating people in mass and they would be magnifying that activation energy to help the people on this planet feel what it feels like to be held in total and complete unconditional love. And, I had my first group 5 days later.
Wow.
So it was quite an adventure. For the first 10 years, I was really getting used to that and being a channel and having groups and really embarking on a business that I didn't necessarily know that I volunteered for. But I did, and now, as you know, Adironda and the Council of Light are, powerful interdimensional energies. The council is made up of ascended masters from this planet and archangels. And Adironda is from the 17th dimension, is a part of the angelic realm. and they are a wonderful, loving energy that have never communicated through a human form before me. And that was an interesting adventure. Um,
Yeah.
and in the process of that, however, um, they continued to tell me that I can teach this process to others. And I thought, I don't even know how I do it, let alone teach it. And then I was with another speaker, and he said, with his information, that I had a step-by-step process to teach people how to channel and to teach people how to heal and heal others. And which is holographic healing, another thing that I teach. And then the Channeler's Academy, or the Channeler's Method, I, developed that after he said that, and thought, okay, well, I guess I do. And I think it's really about um, helping people connect more deeply with themselves and their own guidance. And then they can take that wherever they need to go. And so that's a little bit about me. I do have a broadcast once a month on the double digit of the month, the 1-1, or we've got a big one on 1-1, which is free to everyone. And then we do 111, 222, 22, 33, 44, the master number of the month. And when Adironda first came in, they said to pay attention to the numbers. And in paying attention to the numbers, I started seeing multiples of numbers everywhere. I would look at the clock and it would be 11:11. I would see license plates in one glance, 888, 333, 222. It was like, okay, so I'm paying attention here. And then, so we started doing the monthly broadcast, the double digits, which carries an activation and music, original music by our musician, Randy Luna. Um, and it's quite a time. We also do spiritual happy hour monthly on Sunday, weekly on Sunday. We start weekly I just started weekly in January. And so I'm a busy girl.
It's very busy. And I think that for the holidays, you and Master Luna do specific um, melody channeling for specific people, right?
Yes, personalized, we call them personalized guided meditations. And
Yeah.
that's where it's so, so powerful. It's available at other times during the year, but we really focus on during the holiday times. And it's where Randy and I go into the studio together and we connect to the energy of someone else uh, through their name and their birth date, and through that energy with an intention that they have requested. And that intention could be to live a spiritual life, or to become a channel, or to give us a list of 25 things that they would like to attend for the coming year. and and we make a personal meditation for them that's just for them. And Randy creates personal music, channeled music that's just for them. And it's a very powerful energy that comes through with those.
Wow.
Everything that you shared is so fascinating. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been kind of one of those things that we do a lot. And often I think maybe we should do less and
That's what
see what all happens. But yeah, we do a lot.
yeah, I wanted to ask you, how do you charge your battery? I know by giving you get filled up, but also I know as one that does give a lot, I need to recharge a lot too. So if it's not too personal to ask, how do you recharge?
Well, I take vitamins, but I also uh, each morning I start with a sort of a morning routine. I call it my spiritual practice. I start with reading spiritual something. I read Pam Grout's A Course in Miracles Experiment, which is funny and kind of entertaining. And then I match that with A Course in Miracles. And then right now I'm reading The Way of Mastery, which is a channeled book by Master Yeshua or Jesus. And then I meditate. And usually then I journal afterwards, which sometimes the journaling goes into guided writing. And that, to recharge your battery, to start with that charge of an hour to an hour and a half each day, depending upon what my time frame is, um, I I then go about my day and I teach people to not uh, have the energy of others, especially when I'm doing private sessions, affect your energy. That their energy does not have to go through your energy. When I channel, I mean, I can do 3, 10, 5, 8. I've done as many as 12 sessions in a day. That was a lot. Not because it was a drag on my energy, but because Adironda sits differently than I do, so my body was a little sore. But you know, I I know that source, the source of all that is, it is sort of my battery, and that is an infinite amount of energy. And when I am tired, I stop, and I find that that some people continue reading spiritual books and only have a spiritual connection. I think it's important for you and us, all three of us, and anyone else that's out there that makes their living as a spiritual consultant, as an intuitive consultant, as an energy practitioner, energy healing practitioner, or any other way, that what we have to do to recharge is to do something separate from our work.
Right.
Once a month, some friends and I get together and do something silly. I mean, we play games, we watch TV or watch a movie or go to a movie and do something that is totally unrelated to any channeling or any metaphysics or anything else. And I think we require a balance in our lives. We
Absolutely.
require to, especially those of us that are in the spiritual profession,
Yes.
or the intuitive profession or channeling profession. I mean, how do you want to describe that? I don't know. But those of us that are doing that work, because we are amplifying the energy to assist in the transformation and the shift of the people on this planet.
Yes.
In an awakened sense, that we still have to um, have balance in our lives. If we don't have balance in our lives, then we run the risk of getting worn down by the world and the state of the world right now.
Yeah.
And at most healing practitioners are empathic, and some teachers teach that that's wrong. I say that it helps you be a better healer, a healing practitioner,
Absolutely.
because you can sense where people's energy needs your energy or is asking for your energy. And and you can also protect yourself so you don't draw their energy into your personal field. And so that's kind of what we teach. And I think that that's very, very important for someone who makes their living doing what you're doing, or doing what I'm doing, that we learn to access that balance. And you ask yourself, what is it that you need to keep that balance going? For me, I know right before I go to bed, if I'm working until close to bedtime, I have to stop and read a little bit of a murder mystery or a Dan Brown book or
All
something
right.
completely not metaphysical.
Right.
And that brings that balance in. So that's what I
Nice.
do.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's many people. I know my business partner, she goes for a walk outside and clears her energy field in that way.
Yeah.
How are you
Yeah.
affected in this work, in your balancing, in your sense of connection to the divine by ley lines? Maybe we can speak about the energy portals and vortices. I wonder if there's one by your house. Do you, like, for example, the way people speak about Sedona being a vortex, is there a sense of drawing energy from ley lines? I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, ley lines are quite interesting, and I probably have a little different aspect than most. I mean, you've got the ley lines of the planet that are going around the planet, but it's been my information that there's also a ley line that's kind of making a zigzag motion around the planet itself and around the center of the planet, where it's not going through the equator, it's not on the line of the equator, but the equator is going through the center of that additional sort of wavy ley line, and which is has come up, has opened up, I don't know, in the last few hundred years. And that ley line, you can, I mean, if you Google it, you probably, I don't know if you'll ever find anything on it or not, but that additional ley line is fascinating because that ley line goes through Stonehenge, it goes through Sedona, it goes through the place where I live, Springfield and Branson, Missouri. It goes through Mount Shasta. It goes through the pyramids in Egypt. So it kind of waves its way around the planet and seems to connect. Ley lines are connectors. Ley lines connect the energy throughout the spectrum of places, physical places on their path. That's my understanding from Adironda. That may not have a thing to do with scientific discussion, but that's what they say, is that those ley lines are connectors, and that they are like without the signage, when you're driving across the US and you come into another state, um, and this may be the same in Canada or South America or any place else in the world. I just noticed it in the United States because I've driven across it. I haven't driven across other places. But you will sense a difference in the energy near the state line, and you'll be able to visually see a bit of difference in the landscaping or the roads or something like that. That's kind of what ley lines do, is there's an invisible field around each ley line within a relatively short distance from that ley line, that invisible ley line, that is radiating a difference in the energy. And so the cities or the states or things that are going through a specific ley line, they're all connected on an energetic level. And so therefore, when you then this, I call it a new ley line because I don't know how old it is, but I know it's been on the planet for several hundred years. This wavy ley line that connects these power points together, it's like you have to ask yourself why that is. I mean, if you and if you were to draw this ley line without paying any attention to exactly what's on it, what's underneath, or what the cities or areas that are around this wavy ley line, and just draw it, and then look at a globe of the planet, you would see those really significant points, like Sedona, like Mount Shasta, like Stonehenge. And so in that energy, it's fascinating to me that one of those lines goes directly through the area of the country that I live in. And it's like, okay. So I think that's one of the things that is significant as to how the ley lines are affecting the people that would be connecting to that. Now, where I'm living, I'm in between two of the vertical ley lines of the planet. So about halfway. And so with that, uh, the energy sort of crisscrosses. And I think that that's sort of, those energies crisscross at a time when, a place where there's a, a connection. And that could be what creates the vortexes. I mean, a vortex, as you know, is a sort of a spiritual circular spiraling energy where the magnetic field of the planet sort of circles around and draws up or draws down. And that vortex, people that are not even aware of it or awake at all can feel that energy, which is great. And you know, there's vortexes in several places on the planet. There's vortex in Stonehenge. There's vortex in Sedona, uh, and in that energy, what happens is the people that are in that frequency. This is my belief. The people that are physically there in that area of vortex sense that spiraling nature, and they have a bit of a sensual activation from the planet itself and from, maybe the galaxies, I don't know. But they have a sense of a bit of an awakening to realize that maybe suddenly they seem to know more than they thought they did. It's an interesting anomaly, I believe, to couple the ley lines then with the vortexes on the planet that we know about. And I feel like that there's, you've heard of the stargates. I mean, the stargates were created around some of the vortexes, and then there's been stargates that were created that are not on the vortexes, but then when you look at a globe of the planet, they're on a ley line, and they're on a significant intersection of a ley line and that ley line that goes in that wavy form around the planet. Fascinating information.
It is fascinating, and it's fascinating to me that I know we live in California, so I know, and I'm sure it's all around the States and other places in the world. If you go to a temple or a church, they're all in a certain area. They kind of congregate together because I feel like that the energy kind of calls for it. That's the right place for it to be.
Well, exactly. You're exactly right. And that's why on many of the old pagan power sites, then when the Church of England came in or the temples came in, they would build them on those power sites, thinking that they were drawing the people to them, but they were drawn to that power site from the planet as well. And as you know, there's 12 nodes around the planet that are named huge vortexes, and then there's 12 nulls, which are the balance of that or the opposition of that. And it is fascinating to see and look at really how many churches or temples or monasteries or whatever tabernacles are built where the same power sites were. I know in the United States that where there was a Native American, an indigenous gathering place of multiple tribes, that's where huge communities of maybe spirituality or maybe huge communities of religious people um, are. I'm thinking of Crestone, Colorado, which I did a retreat there for 20 years every year. Crestone, Colorado, who would ever have heard of it? except that it's on that wavy ley line and it's on a vertical ley line. And it has like, I don't know, 28 or 34 spiritual centers in a little town of about 1,200 people, and that's including all of the outlying neighbors. The town itself has like 87 people in it, but it's got a Hindu ashram and a Baptist center and a Carmelite monastery and a Tibetan stupas and
Wow.
Zen centers and Buddhist centers and you know, all Episcopal centers, all varieties of religious. And Adironda said that particular place was, this was several years ago, was a meeting place of all of the tribes where they would come together and meet in peace. And there'd never been any bloodshed on that property. They would come together and meet in peace as a high council for the indigenous. And eventually they were there to meet to decide what to do about the white man. But uh, then there was, I guess a few years ago, the high chief of the Lakota tribe came in and said the same thing. And it's like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
So there's different PowerPoints like that, like Glastonbury in England,
Right.
which is near Stonehenge. I mean, that's one of those PowerPoints that is a crossing between a ley line and the wavy ley line, which then creates the vortex. Sedona is another one. So it's fascinating to see how the planet Earth, the great divine Mother Gaia, has supported and helped lead the evolution of humanity. And I think that's what's happening with us right now.
Yeah, you're right. And when you're talking, it made me remember different places that I've been, like the Andes in certain areas, or where there weren't many people that went there. You could feel the energy of the earth is much more pure than when you go to sites where so many people go to. It feels like, I don't know how to put it into words, but the energy doesn't feel pure and calm like it does in other places, right?
Exactly. I think that's and it could be about what humans have done to the area. I know Sedona feels a little chaotic sometimes, and
Right.
we've been kind of working with the energy to calm it down. We go to a place called Mount Ida, Arkansas,
I
which
love that.
is the largest crystal bed on the planet and quartz crystal bed, and it it has maintained that calmness, that peaceful feeling. Um, that and just like when you go to Stonehenge now, it's a little frantic with the big production center and the big tourist place, and you can't get close. When I went there the first time in 1998, we were allowed to be there at night on a full moon, and um, there was no walkways. You could go right up to the stones, and it was a tremendous experience.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's still a tremendous experience, but it's as you say, a little more chaotic, not
Yeah.
quite as pure in the energy sense of it, which I think is why um, other power sites, other PowerPoints are revealing themselves.
Yes.
And I think that is helping people awaken to what is underneath their land. I mean, in Egypt, they're discovering new temples all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot underneath that sand. The
Right.
last time I was in Egypt, there was a huge temple that was discovered under Cairo or around Cairo. And you'd think, well, they had to have excavated the area around there long ago, but another one showed up. So maybe they're either raising to the surface to be discovered, or the energy of Mother Earth is letting go. I'm reminded of a time there's a you know, Lemuria, one of the center places of Lemuria is Hawaii.
Yeah.
And we were in Hawaii in 2012, and due to a series of energies, we happened on to what we called a secret beach. There was a beautiful beach that we kind of had to climb down to, and we were guided to do that. And there, under parts of the earth that was falling away, was a pyramid. It was a stone pyramid. You could see the shape of the stones. I mean, it was a pyramid. And we went into meditation with our group, and we all got the exact same thing, that it was a Lemurian pyramid, and it was one of the places of sacred prayer and sacred meditation in the Lemurians. And it was so interesting that then, after we found that beach, lots of others found that beach. And because we had some people that lived in Kauai at the time, and we began hearing of how droves of people were going to that secret beach. And the next time we came was the following year, and that pyramid, naturally not man-made, but was completely covered with earth and trees and bushes.
Ah,
That the Mother Earth had gone in to protect that pyramid,
yeah.
because the planet maybe wasn't ready for that energy. I don't know. But, I
Yeah.
think that happens, and there's, a vortex in Kauai or Hawaii, and in that whole area, connecting to the Lemurians.
Yeah.
So just like there is in Bimini and different places to connecting to Atlantis.
Atlantis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating. So what I'm trying to give our listeners some sort of a suggestion or ideas of how to cope with all this craziness in our world today from a expanded perspective, from a perspective of not being in it but being of it.
I think that you simply have to continue to focus on what it is that you're choosing. I think you have to realize that your ego plays a large part in what's happening. Your ego will counteract your spiritual practice. Your and people get the opportunity to recognize when other humans are responding or reacting to the world from that place of ego or power, the need for power, not to be confused with your inner power, but the egoic power. And I think that according to Adironda in the Council of Light, there's now 27% of the world's population that would be considered a light worker. And it has gained like 4% in the past 4 or 5 years. Now, those people may not know the term light worker or consider themselves a light worker, but they are people that are acknowledging in the light, in the peace and calmness of the planet. And what I am seeing is that the leaders then are beginning to make different choices. And we as humanity are beginning to have a little more drive on that energy, a little more effect on that energy. And it's not that we are wishing ill will to anyone. It's not that we are, sending out energy of harm to anything. It's that we are acknowledging that the planet and the people are in a divine state of transformation, and that we are sort of at a crossroads. sort of at a place of connection, of revamping an energy that has gone from an old program of war, turmoil, strife, which you can look at different turning points of the planet and see that violence has a tendency to move a civilization forward. And now we're looking at moving a civilization forward in other ways, excuse me. And in those other ways, we're seeing progress.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting what you're speaking of. And this is making me wonder because you teach channeling. You spoke of having a walk-in, you spoke of teaching people how to channel. How would you compare a walking? What was your experience? And does it compare to what people speak of a Kundalini awakening? Does it compare to intentionally choosing to channel? I would love to hear your thoughts on these three aspects of connecting with the divine.
Well, my walk-in was 1993, which in the state of the world is kind of in the olden days. It was a total soul exchange where the soul that was born into this body chose by prior agreement to leave, and instead of the body dying, a new soul came in to take its place. It was still my soul, but it was several generations more advanced, which is why you can have access to the memories and things like that. It and but it was a total transformation. In Now, in the past, really 10 years, 12 years or so, maybe 15 years, a walk-in occurs in a different sense. There's many more varieties of walk-ins, but they're more connected with what I call a composite. I mean, there's lots of different terms for them. A friend of mine, Sheila Seppi, wrote the book Walk-in: The Cosmology of the Soul, which if you're drawn to the term walk-in, I would get that book and read it. It's a composite is sort of the uh, connection with your higher self or your guidance self, and that anchors into your regular walking around self. And so you have a sudden exchange of energy and information that you maybe didn't have access to before. A Kundalini experience has also gone through that transformational change. In the olden days, in the 80s and 90s, a Kundalini experience could be interpreted as almost a negative, where you were walking around and not really present in your world. And I remember one person that I knew that was really having a big Kundalini experience, and she had to carry rocks in her pockets all the time. Rocks like 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 driveway rocks. and because she felt like she would be raising off the earth. And the Kundalini experience that is now, because we as humans have evolved, is, as it's my understanding, that it's much more of a gentle experience. It's a cellular awakening into the true core of your root chakra, your root energy, your primal connection of who you truly are, without all of the external programming that we learn from being a crawl-in or a baby coming into this world. And with that kind of a Kundalini experience, you still can feel very disoriented in the energy of this planet, which is why, we teach people to control that energy, to channel, to understand how the energies in our own body are so infinite. The energies in our own presence are a part of the infinite possibilities of the planet. And that's why, if we are master manifestors, which we all are, what we're thinking about, what we're feeling is coming to pass. I know, many years ago, they started talking about, thoughts are things, and change your life, change your thoughts, change your life, things like that. But now, with the evolution of our humanity, it's really the even more subtle than that, and it may have come about with the I've heard other channels talk about a kundalini rising of the planet, of the people on the planet in mass. I don't know, that's not necessarily my information, but what if? And so that's one of the reasons why I started teaching channeling, is to really help people come into the integrity of their own soul, and being able to connect with, in an integrous way, with the soul or connection of another, to help or to be of service or to acknowledge that energy. And it's so huge these days, magnanimous. I don't even know if that's a word, but these days, when you think of the realm of those possibilities, Dr. Emoto's work, Messages from the Water, old book, good premise, that water responds to human emotion, which is the whole premise for holographic healing, something that I teach, which is connects channeling and the body and intention and visualization all together to actually reorganize or realign the human form, and it responds. The human form responds. And it's all, I mean, golly girls, we live in amazing times. We have so much that is at our fingertips, that we are experiencing, that it's important, I believe, to direct that energy, because in the direction of that energy, we know that there's, light and dark on the planet. There's,
Always.
we love all of that. It's all source created.
Exactly.
And it's not good and bad. It's it's just different. And I think that's in the integrous way that we are choosing to focus on light, focus on the evolution of our own humanity, to be able to wield the innate abilities that we know we have. We know we can bilocate. We know we can walk on water. We know we can communicate telepathically.
Right.
We know those things, and we're remembering how to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes. I'm with you on that. I totally agree with what you're saying.
Good. It's always great when people agree with each other.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page as you are. I feel like I do feel so grateful every day for choosing these times, choosing to be here on the planet at this time, even though, it's chaotic and there are many people that are not doing so well. But the big picture for me is excitement to be here and to be part of the I don't want to say leading edge. I want to say directing and helping direct it in the way that will benefit us mostly, hopefully.
Right. I kind of call it the first waivers,
Yeah.
there's several waves of people, or, I know I call, I mean, it's not a very great term. I know I'm what I call a hacker, not hacking into the computer because,
No, I'm with you.
but,
I'm that way
but
too.
I'm the one that's in front, hacking through the jungle, saying, "Go this way! Look at that!"
Yeah. I love that image.
Yeah, and it's like we're all really just hacking our way through. We're all striving. I think even people that are not awake, even people that are having, war and still stuck in that that old paradigm of we must get power through violence. When we're stuck in that old paradigm, um, that even that is changing. And so it's so powerful when we've got this first wave, second wave, third wave of people that are shining a new uh, uh, light, that are leaning into love and seeing how, the old story, love changes everything. All you need is love. It's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely true. And yeah, in these times where I can't believe there's still wars at this time, but I do have family that's on that side of the world. And so all I do is just send love. That's all I can do to both sides, and pray that love will win, or love
Yes.
will.
That's what you can do. That's a proactive approach. And when you get the opportunity to come into the presence of someone that is still spouting the old paradigms, is to just breathe through that, not get directly involved, and help them see a different perspective as to what other possibilities might be or other solutions might be, and to pray for divine peaceful solutions, and
Yeah,
to keep that frequency going strongly.
right. Yes, I just keep imagining this big ball of peace, of love, and putting it over there, step
Yes,
into it.
yes,
Yeah.
that's a good image. Adironda has told us several times to, you know, just as a metaphor, to place a, a globe, to go buy a globe of the planet Earth and put it in your meditation, and put your hands on either side of that globe and send that loving energy
Oh,
through
nice.
your hands, and open your chakras, in your hands, just
Yeah.
like you would do Reiki or any other energy healing, and put the planet itself, the physical globe of the planet, complete with those ley lines and vortexes and all of those things that you're working with, onto that meditation, and just hold that frequency of sending that love through the planet and to all of the people on the planet.
That's
This is
beautiful.
magnificent. I love it as an idea. Yeah, as a visual. Absolutely. Thank you.
I kind of want to end on this note because it's such a beautiful image of the globe sending, and the ley lines, and the people, and sending just love, and holding that in our hearts and in our mind together. um I can't thank you enough for your time. It's been such a pleasure, a joyful, and you always bring joy forth. You're so joyful. I had to say that, because for me, you're always playing, and I think you have a term for that, right? Plurk.
Plurk, yes.
Yeah, I
Joy
love
plus
that.
work equals plurk.
Yeah. So, anything that you'd like to say before we complete this beautiful time together.
Well, I want to thank you for inviting me to share this time with you. I'd like to thank you for the work that you're doing on the planet as you are creating that ripple effect around the planet and moving through this planet as well as the galaxies. And so I want to thank you all for that, and to know that each person that you touch, each participant that you connect with on your journey, that they are indeed shifted in their experience of living their life as well, and are taking that aspect and focusing it outward as well as focusing it inward. And, as Adironda says, just, it's simple, be the love that you already are, and allow anything to just to lean into love and focus on that, and that itself will shift the consciousness of this planet.
Absolutely. They know what they're saying. And Rhonda sure knows what they're saying. So
Yes.
thank you again for everything that
Thank
you
you.
do and for the time you spent with us. Thank you, Mira, for being my partner.
Thank you.
I love that. And we will meet again.
Yes.
Yes, we will.
Thank
Yes,
you
we
so
will.
much.
Thank you.